society did not understand the link between our thoughts and their effects on the body. A common belief was that when the brain is damaged, it cannot be repaired. It was also assumed that we are born with a preset level of intelligence and that the brain deteriorates with age. It was also thought that our fate is predetermined by our genes. These incorrect conclusions that were not based on how the brain functions made the horizon of hope seem dim. But a new day is dawning in brain science, and what is so exciting is that the discoveries that they are making in latest cutting-edge research line up with the principles of God's Word. I'm here to bring you a message of real hope and encouragement as I show you through godly scientific eyes what an amazing brain you have. Research conducted by Dr. Caroline Leaf and other respected scientists has shown that the brain really can change, grow and get better. Running closely with the science of thought is a new science called epigenetics. Epigenetics shows that our thoughts and perceptions remodel our genes and not the other way around. Now the reality of the scripture, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, begins to hit home. Epigenetics shows us the power of our thought life and how it affects who we are. A phenomenal discovery is that our genes can be switched on and off by the thoughts that we choose to meditate on. This has changed the conventional understanding that our genes control and determine who we are and what we become. Recent research disproves the myth that our genes shape us. Our thoughts affect which genes are switched on, and therefore we shape our genes. This means that we are not, nor have we ever, been victims of our biology. And the implications of this is obvious. We need to start taking responsibility for our choices and our health. We no longer have an excuse to submit to disease because we can rise above it and overcome it. The days of being a victim to what the world throws at you have come to an end. Although you may not be able to control the circumstances in your life all the time, you can control how it affects your brain by changing the way that you react to those circumstances. In Hosea 4 verse 6, God said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." People are literally dying because they don't know how to use their brains correctly. They don't know that they are destroying their intellectual, emotional, and physical health with their toxic thoughts. Since 87% of diseases are a result of what goes on in our thought life, it is necessary for me to briefly explain to you how your brain works, how thoughts form, and how they become toxic, leading to the development of disease in your body. We need to understand the principles of how our brains work so that we can learn to think properly. When you have a clear knowledge of how the brain works and can visualize it, you can control your thought life so much more effectively. Let's start with a few facts about your amazing brain. Firstly, the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. So when I am moving the fingers on my left hand, I am using the right side of my brain. Similarly, the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. So when I am moving the fingers on my right hand, I am using the left side of my brain. So the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. So that means that only left-handed people are in their right minds. Only joking. If you put your two fists together, that is the size of your brain. Now, many people believe that as you get older, your brain degenerates and your nerve cells die. But that is not true. The brain is the only organ in the body that doesn't age, it matures. With correct use, your brain should get more and more efficient as you get older. But if you don't use your brain, you will not improve as you age, and that is unnatural. Your brain is designed in such a way that it naturally becomes more intelligent the more you use it. Dr. Caroline Leaf told the story of a man who was an 80-year-old pilot. He was forced to retire from flying because his eyesight had deteriorated. He then decided to go back to university and study again to become a chartered accountant. At the age of 84, he qualified as a chartered accountant and went to work at his new job. That is what we should all be doing. You must not retire, you must refire. Because the more you stimulate your brain, the more you develop your thinking skills, and the more sophisticated your brain is going to become, and there is no limit to what your potential could be. Many people have also been misled to believe that intelligence is something that you are born with, that you either have the ability to be clever or you don't. They believe that intelligence is preset and fixed, and it is not going to improve. But it is good news to know that that is also not true. Your intelligence develops according to how you determine it to develop. It is dynamic, and it goes hand in hand with learning how to use your brain correctly. It is something that develops through your entire lifetime. The more you use your brain, and the more you think properly, the more intelligent you are going to become. You can improve the performance of your brain by 35 to 75% if you learn how to think correctly. Now, why am I going on about intelligence? Well, medical research has now shown that the more intelligent you become, the healthier you become. Intellect and physical health are directly linked. Now I need to explain to you what memory is, how it is formed, and how it is stored in your brain. Your brain is made up of nerves. Each nerve looks like a tree. It has a trunk called an axon and branches called dendrites. Now you are taking in information from the environment around you all of the time through your 5 senses. As you are listening to me speak and looking at the images on the screen, you may be sitting in a comfortable chair. Say there is a cool breeze gently blowing through an open window that has the fresh smell of rain. It blows softly across your face as you enjoy a bar of chocolate. If you in this idyllic setting, information from all 5 senses, in other words, what you are seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting, is pouring into your brain. And your brain is processing and storing this information by building branches on the nerves in your brain. Proteins are made and used to grow new branches to hold the information from your thoughts, and this process is called protein synthesis. The information stored on the branches of the nerves is what memory is. As you continue to meditate on a particular thought, more branches grow. The connection between those branches and the nerves gets stronger, and the memory becomes permanent. So the more you meditate on a thought, the more branches you grow, and the more you reinforce that memory. The more branches you have on a particular nerve, the stronger or more intelligent that memory is. Now your brain performs 400 billion actions per second, of which you are conscious of 2,000. This just goes to show how incredibly intricate and complicated God created us. Psalm 139 verse 14 says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being formed in secret, and intricately and curiously wrought, as if embroidered with various colors in the depths of the earth. After studying the human body, one conclusion I have come to is that its designer is indescribably awesome. Imagine building a machine that performs 400 billion actions per second with everything happening in precisely the right order, at precisely the right time, within a fraction of a nanosecond. That is incredible. Part of those 400 billion actions per second is growing branches on the nerves where memory is stored. The average human brain has 100 billion nerves. Each nerve can grow up to 15,000 to 200,000 branches, and that is an enormous amount. To give you a more tangible understanding of how much information 15 to 200,000 branches is, you can fit the knowledge of an entire A-level subject on one nerve. So if you did 4 A-level subjects, you just need to use 4 nerves to pass. That is phenomenal. Neuroscientists have calculated that the total amount of storage space for information that you have in your brain is 3 million years. You have got 3 million years worth of space in your brain. So God gave you a decent brain. You have an infinite capacity for learning. God made you in His image, and He made you to have the mind of Christ. So never again can you turn around and say that you are stupid or think that you don't have a great mind. Many people believe that they are not intelligent, but that is a lie that the devil would like us to believe. The truth is that every single person is gifted. God gave you an incredible brain, and all you need to do is find out how to use it. Most of us are not getting the full potential out of our brains because we don't know how to use it correctly. According to Dr. Caroline Leaf, 95% of people worldwide do not know how to use their brains. They just don't know how to think properly. Only 5% of people use their brain correctly. And of that 5%, only 3.5% will go on to some form of tertiary education. Of that 3.5%, only 1% will successfully complete their tertiary education and go on to be prosperous and a success financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, etc. So according to these statistics, 99% of people are not using their brains correctly. But according to the latest medical research, it should be the other way around. Only 3 to 5% of people have genuine underlying diseases or problems in their brain that would prevent them from developing their brains to its fullest potential. I mentioned earlier that you have 3 million years worth of space in your brain. Now, I don't know how much of your brain you think you are actually using, but if you haven't been thinking properly, you are only using about 0.001% of your brain for intellectual performances. Most people don't use more than 6 to 8% of their brain in their entire lifetime. But what it all boils down to is not how much of your brain you are using, but how you are building the information on that nerve cell. In other words, what type of memories are you building? The quality of the information or memory stored in your brain depends on the quality of your thought life. If you are meditating on thoughts of fear, anxiety, self-hatred, a low self-esteem, rejection, guilt, condemnation, bitterness, unforgiveness, anger, rage, resentment, and so on, your brain is full of toxic memories that are making you sick. This is a real slide of what the nerves look like in your brain. You can see that it looks like a forest of trees. I'll be referring to these nerves as the trees of the mind later on. The dark patch is a strong memory that has lots of branches. The nerves at the top of the picture only have a few branches. That is weak or poor memory development. Research was done on the brains of a fifth-year medical student who had died and another person who was a school dropout of exactly the same age. They found that the school dropout's brain looked a lot like the top of the picture, where the nerves only have a few branches and where there is poor memory development. The university student had lots of the strong memories like the dark patch at the bottom. The evidence from Dr. Caroline Leaf's research over 25 years is that as you think and learn and stimulate your brain, you are going to build a lot of the strong, dark memories in your brain, and that is excellent. As the more of these strong memories you have in your brain, the more efficient your brain gets, and the more you develop those thick, stabilized branches, and the more intelligent you are. Now that strong memory could be a good memory of information that you can use to enhance your life, or it can be a bad toxic memory. And this is what is called a negative stronghold in your mind in the Bible. Now I need to give you a brief anatomy lesson to show you important areas of your brain that you need to know about to be able to understand how thoughts form and lead to disease. Remember that I am presenting this teaching on a level so that anybody without any medical background can understand it. So if you are a doctor or a scientist, please bear with me for keeping it simple. The sausage-shaped area is the corpus callosum, which is your thinker. It is the part of your brain that you use for thinking. It acts like a light switch that literally switches on your brain and allows you to meditate on and analyze information. The corpus callosum is directly under your control. Science has discovered an actual physical structure in your brain, which is your free will. It is situated at the front of your corpus callosum. Your free will is the area of your brain that you use to either accept a thought and meditate on it or reject it. The area above the corpus callosum is the cortex of the brain. This is where the trees of the mind are located. All your memories, from birth to death, are stored here on the branches of the nerves. This is the area where the prefrontal cortex is located, which is what you use for rational decision making. This is the hypothalamus. This is the area of the brain that is very important for you to learn, because I'm going to be talking about it all of the time as I explain how various diseases develop. The hypothalamus connects the mind to the body. It is the area of the brain that converts everything that is going on in your thought life into a physical reaction. If your thoughts are positive and godly, your hypothalamus will cause the production of chemicals that facilitate the feeling of peace, and the rest of the brain will respond by producing the correct formula of chemicals for clear thinking and the building of healthy, intelligent memories. The corresponding physical reaction through the mind-body connection will produce health and prevent disease. If your mind is dominated by toxic thoughts such as fear, anxiety, worry, unforgiveness, bitterness, anger, rage, resentment, and so forth, your hypothalamus is going to respond by producing either insufficient or excessive quantities of certain chemicals, which then become toxic and harmful for you. This alters the structure of the memories that are built in the cortex. These memories are toxic, and the corresponding physical reaction through the mind-body connection leads to the development of disease. Information from the external world comes into your mind through your 5 senses, which is sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. Your 5 senses are the contact between the external world and the internal world of your mind. Information from your senses comes in, for example, through your eyes and your ears as light waves and sound waves. The light and sound waves are then converted into an electrical current, which travels along the nerves in your brain. This electrical current is the thoughts and images in your mind. We think of our mind and thoughts as something that is out there, but your thoughts are physically in your brain in the form of millions of chemical reactions and electrical current that travels along the nerves in your brain. So your mind is physically in your brain. Once the information enters your brain in the form of an electrical current, it travels through various areas until it reaches your free will. At your free will is where you decide to accept or reject a thought. For example, say you are a man who struggles with lust. You see a good-looking woman, and the information comes in through your eyes as light waves, and this is then converted into an electrical current in the nerves of your brain, and that information is now in the form of a thought. Your free will now has a choice. Is it going to allow your brain to meditate on that lustful thought of that woman, or is your free will going to reject it? If you make a decision of your free will to reject that thought before you meditate or think on it, that information will literally become hot air. So that thought will not penetrate your mind any further. Remember, the corpus callosum is the sausage-shaped area in your brain, which is your thinker. This is the area in your brain that you use to meditate on and analyze information. The corpus callosum is activated under the direction of your free will. So if you make a decision of your free will to accept that